Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Andrew.
Atitra and Caitlin.
And we're here back again discussing articles from the Green page at cmu.ptm.blogspot.com. And our first article for this session is about a great show that's happening here at Carnegie Mellon University.
Brought to you by the production manager.
Oh yeah, by the PM right here.
Let's talk about Steubenville. This article is from Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and it is by Sharon Iverson.
Yep.
Yes. So basically, it was an interview, but from about Steubenville, which is brought to you by our second-year grad director, Eleanor Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! And it was an interview. For somebody who doesn't know about Steubenville, I can talk about this forever. This Steubenville is inspired by the real case that happened way back in August years ago in Steubenville, Ohio. It's about
It's sensitive material. Certainly.
It's all about sensitive materials. And so Eleanor, as a director, she read about it. She read the article, she read the news, and she got inspired. And she also terrified, also inspired at the same time. So she wants to bring this on stage for people to be aware of what's going on in the world and how should we do.
Yeah, I didn't realize, reading this article, I've talked to Eleanor a bunch about the show, but the real impetus for doing this show and writing, she wrote the show as well, or is sort of workshopping the show. It's in process.
Yeah,
It's
devised
with two other playwrights.
it's a new works.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that it was on her first visit to the United States 3 years ago or so when she became aware of this happening just because she read it in the newspaper about the rape case in Steubenville, Ohio. And come to find out, she comes to school here and decides to do a show. It's Steubenville. You can ride your bike there from here, so it's a local topic certainly. And it's especially interesting to me that a student from New Zealand is the one who's coming and doing a show about a local topic like that.
Well, but it is interesting when she talks about it specifically in this article that she's from a pretty liberal area in New Zealand and that she thought...
Are there illiberal areas?
She's from a conservative area.
Yes.
It's this big.
They only smoke pot twice.
But she talks about how that rape and these kind of issues felt like issues that were over there, and then she had far away from her, and that actually she heard about some sexual abuse cases near her and was thinking, wait, so this isn't a problem that other people have. This is a systemic problem that exists for everyone as long as there's gender inequality. So she is thinking a lot about that, and also is mashing it up with the ways that we tend to hear about romantic stories, especially in narratives, like in plays and movies. And she says that she loves romantic comedies, but has a tricky relationship with them because women are the ones waiting around wanting to be wanted, and men are the active ones going to get it. And she's like, how strange, that I love this, and yet I'm a feminist. So I think part of what she's doing is just thinking about it and getting you to think about it. And she's mashing up the Steubenville case, like actual transcripts from the case,
from the trial,
with sound bites from the news, with also Sleeping Beauty. So it's a bunch of things juxtaposed with each other. I think it'll be really interesting to see.
It'll be really interesting to see.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's pretty courageous too. It's not a safe topic.
Yeah. Not at all. Yeah, and I'm curious to see what kind of attention it draws, because the other thing that Eleanor is very, very good at is self-promotion. So
yeah, exactly.
It's the reason this comes up to us in the Green page is because of not just the PPG article was a kind of a riff off of an American Theater article that came out last fall. So
right.
It's already getting a lot of talk, and if you want to come see it, it opens
March 18 to 20. In Round Studio Theater. So if you want to come see a work from a director who calls herself a feminist artist who creates documentary theater.
Right.
Come on by.
Come on by.
Come on by.
And
so our next article about another tricky topic.
Yes.
It's called We Wouldn't Accept Actors Blacking Up, So Why Applaud Cripping Up, by Frances Ryan from The Guardian. And I think they're using purposefully provocative language to get you to click on this article. I would have to guess because Cripping Up doesn't seem like the most
I was confused for a while.
PC way to put it. But the article is basically about the fact that actors can portray, able-bodied actors can portray disabled people and get tons of recognition in the form of Oscar nominations and things like that, where there are actual disabled people who are actors who don't get those jobs.
Yes.
But we wouldn't ever accept, somebody like, obviously like a black like you portraying a black person. Like that would be stupid. Like that doesn't make sense. So.
Well, we think we're beyond that.
Right.
Whether we are or not, I don't know, but.
Right. And one of the things that they point out in this, which I thought was something interesting to chew on, was that people don't want to see actual disability because it's really uncomfortable still. I don't want to think about it. So seeing somebody portray, like Matt Damon portraying a disabled person, I know he's going to get up after the scene and run around the block. That's comforting. Even if you think of yourself as a progressive kind of person, they are wondering in this article whether maybe this is something you should talk about.
Something that has not been brought up for the first time, right? I think we've been reading multiple articles about why can't we have actual disability actors acting in the
we can. We just choose not to.
That's
the thing.
But there are places that do. I mean, they aren't super nationally recognized, or I should say they're not everywhere. But there are places like Family in Denver that have exclusively physically handicapped actors playing roles, and they're using their disabilities to their advantage.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. There's also a theater troupe in San Francisco Bay Area that's all blind folks, and that's a super interesting thing to go check out.
Yeah.
In film, though, I think this article is mostly about film too. I was curious to see if how many disabled film actors there are out there, and I was kind of comforted to find out that SAG has a whole sort of chapter for and a whole different set of bylaws for disabled actors. So there is quite a bit of. It's not that there's a lack of disabled actors out there. But one thing about this article that I wanted to point out that I thought was a little bit off was that the sort of driving, why am I talking about this now, is because of the new movie about Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking's,
And,
which was a curious example.
Well, it doesn't work in this case. The argument doesn't work in this case because his disability is progressive.
Exactly.
So at the beginning, a disabled actor could not have played that role.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit weird that they chose that to focus on.
I totally agree. It was a strange focus, but I think it was one of those things let's look at this movie because it is in the news now, and let's think back to all of these times.
I think it would be
you're totally right.
I'm always nitpicking.
Well, but you're right. I mean, it's this wouldn't work now. This is a bad example because, which might give you more ammunition if you are on the side of not including disabled people. So. But
it is true too that they point out that there's sort of an inordinate number of actors who get awards for these types of roles, which is I think even a little crazier to think about. Not just that we would rather see able-bodied people in this, but we're more likely to think they're doing a great job of acting because they're playing a disabled person.
Yeah, it's the same as when you're playing crazy people. You have to use all of your skills.
Yeah, I don't know.
Become that with all lots of research and observing. So
I think that's the perception.
Yeah, I think it's more complex than that. I think that the point that they're making in this article about, or that they touch on in this article about feeling comforted, about people overcoming these things, they're overcoming the obstacle in the story. But then we also know in the back of our mind that they're going to overcome it because it never really happened at the end of the day. And there's something really strange about that. Makes me kind of feel sick a little bit.
Yeah, I was it's funny, right before I read this article, I was about to rewatch My Left Foot because it's on Netflix or whatever.
Yes.
And I remember seeing it when I was a teenager and thinking it was amazing, right? What a performance kind of thing. And now I really kind of want to go back and look at it with a little more of a critical eye. I have an unnatural love for Daniel Day-Lewis too, so
it's perfectly natural.
he can do no wrong in my book, but I'm curious now to go back and take a look at it. But we should move on.
We should.
Last article for this session is about
procreation.
Procreation, yes.
Our
I'm
favorite
looking for
topic.
it. Can artists procreate without going bankrupt? It's blog post from the Huffington Post by Jennifer Rivera, who is an artist living in, I don't remember where she's living.
I don't remember either.
I'm not sure that she says, actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure that she says.
It's essentially, the blog post is about she as an artist and mother looking at different feeds from different people, different groups of people in her social media network. On the one hand, people complaining about how hard it is to make a living as an artist, and on the other hand, people complaining about how hard it is to make a living as a parent. And her sort of having to address both of those problems, things in her life. I don't know. I always have the cringe factor when I read posts like this with a certain amount of that feel like they come from a certain amount of privilege without seeming to notice that that's what they're doing. There's a lot of people out there for whom just being a parent and working 3 jobs is not even good enough. To me that sure, everyone has problems, but if you're capable of being a parent and an artist at the same time and fulfilling some sort of the creative necessity in your life, that is a super lucky thing to me. So I don't know. Yeah, it might be a little tough, but
yeah, I mean that was sort of the sense I got from her too. At the end of the article, when she basically wraps up and says go for it. You can be an artist and you can have kids. It's well, but not
that
everyone.
message
I think
doesn't
this
really
sounds
ring
a little
true
like
for
a
lot of
unicorn.
Message
Yeah.
I come from a home where I had parents who were both artists. My dad was a sculptor and my mom was a musician, and they both got real jobs when they moved our family and my dad got a job in the tech industry, and my mom at a rubber stamp company to support our family, because for them it wasn't realistic to be artists at the same time. Because it was it wasn't if I thought this out perfectly, I bet that we could make this work. It's I have kids to feed right now, I have a house to support right now.
Right.
So I totally agree that it's for some people totally possible, I bet, to be an artist and have kids. For others it's you might have to move some stuff around, and I don't think. The other problematic thing about this, I thought, was that I felt there was the implication that if you are an artist and you gave it up for any length of time as a parent, or chose not to have kids, that you were somehow failing. It's you're just not trying hard enough.
Right.
That was and I was not cool with that. I was you should look at your own life and decide what you have to do.
There's no blanket statement that makes sense for everyone. Although I did, the things that she talks about as what she would like to see the country move towards in terms of making it easier to do what you want to do and have family, things tax breaks for childcare, national childcare, and affordable health care. Yeah, duh.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You don't have to be an artist to want those things.
Right.
So that was one thing, and then, but the part that brings it up for us, I think, is she points out that in a lot of other countries, there's all this arts funding that would make it easier for people to be artists and raise kids. I don't know. I have kind of a conflicting interest about how much I think the government should be funding art. It is absolutely, in my opinion, a luxury. I'm not one of the people that thinks that we have an inalienable right to art. I think that I don't feel that way. Which is probably, I don't know. Does anybody want to argue with me on that?
I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
We may have a right to it, but I don't think it's necessarily something that I want my government involved in.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think is the government's role to fulfill that need. I think it's all of our
And
job
it's about
to fulfill that need.
and your own life and the way you should do it.
Although
things like that.
I can't help but think about the fact that, and maybe they're completely unrelated facts, but that the countries that she lists that are giving healthcare and childcare, places like Denmark and Norway.
Some of the
Sweden.
richest countries
Yeah,
in the world.
those are countries
but
that
we're
totally
rich
different.
too. But so we're rich too, right? And they're giving all this funding for that stuff, and they're also giving arts funding. You know what I mean? So it's is there a correlation between places that just value equality of life and are throwing money
That's a
toward
good point.
it?
That's a good point.
So I don't know. I think it's complicated, but
If I have to choose, though, I'm choosing childcare and healthcare.
oh sure.
Personally.
Yeah.
I guess that's my bottom line on
Yeah, and I think they would probably argue, like, you don't have to choose. How about we take a big hunk of our military spending and throw it over there? But we don't need to get into that.
What's wrong with tanks?
I mean, we can have both.
We
We can give you a
explode
We
tank.
can have
And
arts and
childcare.
tanks. We can have
Too.
paint bombing tanks.
Arts and tanks, that sounds cool. Like paintball. You'll
That's
die.
my new art troupe, actually, Paints and Tanks.
Cool.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back for one more session if you'd like to watch. And if any of these articles interested you, please visit the link at the bottom of the page and read along. Talk to you later. Bye.